on the
pushing the big red button.
Pushing the big red button.
Button go click.
Button goes click. All right. Swap presenter and slideshow view. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're going. Are we going?
Yeah, we're going.
Okay. Well, wow, this is a prompt entrance to the podcast for once.
Yeah, we're getting better at this.
I know.
She said lying.
Yes, also 52 episodes in, finally, we are showing the smallest trickle of improvement.
Every other episode actually sucked. Just sucked terribly. This will be the first good one.
Yeah, this is the first good one.
Thanks for the money. And
well, they'll be giving us like 3 times as much money after this one.
wow.
Yeah, because ittle be good.
Yeah, we can get a submarine.
We'll be bigger than Red Scare.
Oh, Praxis.
Yes.
Praxis.
All right. Welcome to Well, There's Your Problem.
We also didn't get banned from Twitter, unlike some people.
Well, Roz did.
Oh,
Yeah, I did.
Wow. But that was before.
Welcome to Well, There's Your Problem. It's a podcast about engineering disasters. It has slides. I'm Justin Rosniak, the person who is talking right now. My pronouns are he and him. Okay.
I am Alice Caldwell Kelly. I am the person who is speaking now. My pronouns are she and her.
Woo! Hi, I'm Liam Anderson. My pronouns are he and him.
Right, just rattling through it.
Yeah,
rattling through the opening matter.
I was about to say we'll be done in 30 minutes. We won't know what to do. We'll have to just fill dead air after that.
Have you heard of safety fourth?
And 5th, 6th, maybe 7th. So what you see on the screen in front of you is a train in a tunnel, but it's sort of warped.
Oh, Is it supposed to be like that?
Been a while since we've had that too.
Oh,
no, it's not. It's not supposed to be like that.
Okay, thank you.
Tunnel should probably also have less exposed rebar.
No, that's just for the aesthetic.
Less debris on the walkway here.
It's distressed, you know? People pay extra for that sort of thing.
You notice how there's a crushed truck trailer on here, right? Yeah. Today we're going to talk about the 1996 Channel Tunnel Fire.
The Channel?
Yes.
Oh, God, I hate that name for
it. Yeah, it sounds like some sort of gross, archaic sexual
position
that involves like a hoagie
everywhere. Yeah. Well, the French call it le tunnel sous la Manche. So, you know.
That's poetic.
Yeah, just literally call it the tunnel under the channel.
It does what it says on the tin, I suppose.
Yeah, it goes under the channel. That's what it does.
Yeah.
Well, so really it goes through it. I mean, I guess it does technically go under it, but yeah, it's fine.
Well, yeah. I imagine we'll get into that.
Yes. Yeah, we'll get into some fun French terms later.
Oh, no.
But first, we have to do the goddamn news.
Why did you put a picture of Bernie Sanders with that bird that landed on him?
1% of the Cubans own 99% of the means of production. I'm Fidel Castro, and I also wanted to play baseball like Bernie Sanders did. Yeah.
God, so imagining a cursed left Ben Garrison drawing Bernie and Fidel playing baseball together in heaven.
Oh shit! Shit, that's gonna happen.
100%.
So, what happened was, as the State Department's running out the clock, they've declared Cuba a state sponsor of terrorism.
The Houthis too. They've just been slamming the terrorists.
That's right. Yeah.
They're just going to town.
On the way out.
We're going to be state sponsors of terrorism by the 20th.
To be fair, we advocate bureaucracy-based terrorism.
Yeah, you just have to. You just send
an FBI agent reading your tweet that's like, "I'm going to make the ELF look like fucking Greenpeace," and being like, "What did you mean by this?" Plead the fifth. Plead the fifth. Plead the fifth. Fifth Amendment.
I need to alter my Steam settings so that people don't show up in the corner.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was watching because sometimes I do watch our podcast to see how I can improve. Leave me alone.
Oh, you're watching the tapes?
I'm watching game film. I'm in like a dark Eagles room somewhere in the link. Like people are janitors are banging on the door. Players don't know how they can't get into the weight room. I just got like my laptop and like some TV I stole.
Yeah.
Like, and my
it's on
podcast.
It's on the cart.
Yes. My podcast film was like intermittent with like how the right guard didn't block that week.
We need a podcast coach to go over the podcast with us.
Oh, yeah.
People do offer. They're just like, hey, can I edit? And I'm just like, I have a Roz for that.
Yeah. No, I do the editing. It's me. But yeah, so here's
congratulations, Cuba.
Mm-hmm. They made it again for the third time?
Third time, I think.
Third time, yeah. I mean, we've gone all the way from it's fine
repeat
to go all the way from lifting the embargo to state sponsor of terrorism in only 4 years. Now the question is,
what the hell terrorism did they sponsor in those 4 years?
I assume Fidel personally held the Capitol hostage.
That makes sense.
It's probably, you know what else? They're infiltrating countries with their doctors.
Yeah. Oh, plus they had the thing where they were shooting CIA agents with the beam that makes your brain not work or whatever.
The sound gun, right?
The sound gun. Yeah.
The placebo gun.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't actually exist. It's not real. It's just people tricking themselves into believing it's real.
I could believe it was real. I just don't care until the time when like the Russians or whoever shoot the wrong guy and like give me worse depression with it because they're aiming at a CIA guy and miss. I don't care. Yeah. This is why I post on Twitter as a Russian was like sighting up a CIA guy and like got his hand jogged slightly and hit me with a beam that makes you normal.
Shit.
Oh no!
It has the opposite. It has the opposite effect if you're trans.
Forced feminization.
All right, so Fidel Castro's forced feminization, Ray, is the reason why he is, from beyond the grave, a state sponsor of terrorism.
It's unfortunate, but yeah. The real question is, will Biden have the balls to undo this?
Absolutely not.
Nope.
No.
No way in hell. In other news, Snopes.
We're fact checking the fact checkers.
I'm gonna fact check Snopes here. Snopes is reported, quote, an Alabama man who was in attendance during the January 6, 2021 insurrection at the U.S. Capitol suffered a fatal heart attack after accidentally tasing himself in the testicles. They say this is false. This is wrong.
Bullshit.
That man died after tasing himself in the balls.
Yeah, fatal testicular tasing. And
Yes.
their fact check was they called his wife, his grieving wife, which in itself is very funny to like call a recent widow to be like, yo, did your husband tase himself in the balls?
Can you imagine having to answer that phone call? No.
But she said, no, he would never do that. Not enough information. That's not the kind of investigative quality that we need to make a determination on whether or not this man died because he tased himself in the balls, which he did.
I don't understand how she could be a reliable witness here. Was she there?
No.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm pretty sure he tased himself in the balls.
Absolutely. And if nothing else, like it's our duty to make sure that this is how it goes down in history, whether it's true or not. This like our grandchildren are going to be studying this event, and it's already going to be deeply stupid because they're going to have to learn about the shaman guy and stuff. But I want them to learn as a fun little trivia fact that one of the people who died tased himself in the balls.
Can you imagine having to do a push and like you're a high school senior and just wading through all the bullshit they teach you, and then you finally get to the whatever lesson plan about that time a guy tased himself in the balls. And you're just required to write whatever a 1,500 word essay on how that represents the decay of American empire.
That's right.
Say you get a multiple choice question on the exam. You got to fill in the Scantron. Like, an Alabama man tased himself in the where at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th.
An Alabama man watted himself in the balls.
A, the dick. B, the taint. C, the asshole. D, the balls.
It's D. It's D, the balls. It's D, the balls. I know this one. America is stupid.
Yes. And that's the goddamn news.
Oh, I thought this was a third news item. I'm like, we're very current
it's the
here.
Bayou Tapestry.
Well,
we're catching up with recent events.
Yeah, we are catching up with recent events.
Well, there's your problem. Broadcasting you live from the Battle of Hastings as Roz is furiously trying to load a longbow.
So, okay, I thought we'd start with some history of the Channel Tunnel, right? Right, so I figured a good place to start is 1066.
Yeah, the first Channel Tunnel.
Yes.
Oh.
So in 1066, William, Duke of Normandy is in France, right? France claimed the throne of England after Edward the Confessor died without an heir, right? And he took his army across the Channel to make damn well sure of it, right? and he killed the other contender for the throne, Harold Godwinson, at the Battle of Hastings, thus securing his claim to the throne. And as a result, the English have been suspicious of the French ever since.
Don't lose.
Also, possible that Harold is the guy with getting the arrow in the face here. Possible also that he's the guy getting hacked down by the horsemen. Does not specify in the tapestry which one he is. The idea that Harold is the guy who gets shot in the eye with an arrow is largely a folk confection. We don't know.
I assume because it says Harrow Eld.
Yeah, it says King Harold gets owned, but like nobody actually knows for certain whether it's like under the Harold or whether or under the Interfectus.
Harold Godwinson getteth owned. Owned, excuse me.
Yeah,
owned.
Harold Godwinson taseth himself in the balls.
Ah, shit.
Call of Duty Warzone, best moments, funniest vids.
God, I get rinsed so bad in Warzone, man. Just leave me with Black Ops.
I'm actually fairly decent at Warzone. Notably, I've never shot myself in the eye with an arrow. Although every time I have a crossbow loadout, I'm just like pointing at the sky, like just hoping for the best. I'm basically like a one-man trebuchet. Like, man, I hope this works, and click.
Hail Mary.
That's what I do every time, just in case. It's like how I get my kid baptized. There's a tiny little chance I'm wrong, and if I am, Yeah,
the old Pascal's wager right there. Yeah,
that's Liam, baby. Listen, it's all fun and games until my whatever unbaptized child is, I don't know, sitting in a field with Socrates for all eternity.
That'd be painful. I wouldn't like that. So after 1066, the British and the French did a whole bunch of wars against each other over a long period of time. If you want to know more, read a history book.
Yeah, try picking up a book of English, as they say.
Yes, exactly. Until, Liam, you got a little bit of echo.
I do? Sorry.
Yes.
Hang on.
You always got a little bit of echo. You got to get some like big encapsulating headphones.
Yeah.
Get the F1 pit crew headphones.
I have some very nice Sony noise canceling ones I'm actually going to switch to. These are open back, and I've been sort of trying to make it work for quite a bit, but I've got Sony XM4s, so by the next recording, I will hopefully not have an echo anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So there were some proposals very early on for a fixed crossing of the English Channel, right? There's a lot of advantages to a fixed crossing of the Channel because it's a very busy shipping lane, right? And in addition to that,
busiest in the world now.
Yeah, in addition to that, there's lots of ferry traffic, right? Which is a great way for boats to run into each other and crash and everyone dies, right? So if you can reduce some of that ferry traffic, that's a good thing. So, why not run a train underneath the channel? The first guy to think about, well, maybe we can build a channel tunnel, was a mining engineer, Albert Mathieu Favier, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I know how to pronounce things.
Probably Mathieu, but that's fine.
He proposed an oil lamp illuminated tunnel with an artificial island in the middle of the channel. And because they didn't really have trains yet, he's decided this is going to be for stagecoaches, right?
Hell yes.
Jules Verne ass tunnel.
Yeah. So the horses, they'd have a little pasture for the horses on the island, right? And they'd change the horses on the island.
I mean, this sounds very funny, and it is, but this is currently a thing in the Netherlands. Like some of the big dammed polders, they will just have an island that's in the middle of them like that.
This seems like a great way to turn horses into viscera.
Well, that too.
The horses just are overcome by oil fumes in this 14-mile tunnel.
Horse sees a pasture just blockading the rest of the tunnel for the rest of the horses because horses are the dumbest animals alive.
What we've done here,
people thrown off the island into the channel. They get run over by a steamship. What
we've done here is create a massive fire.
Mm-hmm. I've managed to crash my horse into a boat.
A sentence not thought possible in earlier times.
Just unveiling my undersea horse furnace.
Wow. So much viscera. No longer will we have to hunt whales for oil.
You're shoveling horses into the firebox or the boiler that powers the steam powered tunneling machine. I don't know. So after this, there were some, the idea kind of dies out for a while. There were some surveys and geological studies performed in the 1850s and 1860s. They don't really get anywhere. What's pictured here is Tom de Gammon's plan. Right?
Tom de Gammon.
Tom de Gammon's.
Love Britain, hate France, love tunnels, simple as. Don't like it, here's a tunnel.
This is an 1856 plan for a cross-channel link that would have an air shaft in the middle of the channel to let the steam and the smoke from the steam locomotives get out, right?
Cool. How far across is the channel? Because that's a good, that's a good ways in.
24 miles, I believe.
Just 11 miles of smoke, just collecting smoke and steam and oil.
Yeah, that's why we have a vent shaft, Alice.
Yeah, we've cut that long 24-mile stretch of unventilated tunnel down to a mere 11 miles.
I kind of like the idea, though. Those scenic overlooks where you can put in a quarter and you get to use the viewfinder glasses.
Yeah. That would be cool.
Use it as a periscope. That'd be pretty sick in the vent shaft. Get at me.
So around 1881, this idea was starting to look more feasible, right? A railway entrepreneur named Sir Edward Watkin and Alexander
I know
Lavallee.
about him. Sir Edward Watkin, chairman of the Metropolitan Railway, tried to build a 3 times the size version of the Eiffel Tower in southeast London. He only built the first tier. It was called Watkins Folly. And it's just like this giant wrought iron frame with like a 1/3 of the Eiffel Tower. It's huge.
So the guy from the Met and Alexander Lavallee, who was a contractor on the Suez Canal, began exploratory work to build their own channel tunnel, right? They started construction on a 7-foot diameter pilot tunnel, right? And from each side of the channel, the tunnel boring machines made it more than a mile, right? Until this wonderful institution, completely unimpeachable, never done anything wrong, the Great British Press, started claiming that the French were going to use this tunnel to invade, right?
I mean,
Fool me once 900 years ago.
Yeah. Still sore about that Harold Godwinson thing.
So one of the interesting things is that, like, at this point, there were actually some anti-invasion provisions being put into tunnel designs. I didn't write any notes about this, but I did see it while I was researching. At least one of the designs of this era had a 1 mile section that was deliberately well below the grade of the rest of it. And the idea was it was a water lock, right? You could just flood that section if someone tried to invade through the tunnel.
Can I read you a side note about Watkins' Folly? Because this is some of the funniest shit I've ever read.
Oh, yeah. Fully a dude's rock guy.
Watkin invited Gustav Eiffel himself to design the tower, but he declined. Listen, this is just one paragraph, but an architectural design competition was held in 1890, and a total of 68 designs were submitted. Some of the more exotic proposals included a £1 million tower in 1890 money, inspired by the Leaning Tower of Pisa, a structure with a, quote, a captive parachute to hold 4 persons, close quote. And a tower
like Space Mountain
with a tower with a spiral railway climb its exterior. Also, a 1/12 model of the Great Pyramid of Giza, which would have a colony of aerial vegetarians who would grow their own food in hanging gardens.
Sure, fuck it, why not?
My great granddad used to design parachute drops.
That is falling to my death in Southeast London out of a captive parachute is not.
Nothing fun ever gets built. Between this and the Palace of the Soviets, I'm just like, and Tatlin's Tower, I'm just like, build the fun stuff.
People don't dream anymore.
Mm-hmm. We don't make stuff in this country anymore.
You could fall to your death from the parachute drop tower at the at Coney Island instead.
I will only ever love you, Comet.
All right, so they after investors started to pull out, they were forced to abandon the project, right? In the 1920s and 30s, this idea was still alive. Winston Churchill started, writing articles in favor of it, and he started, trying to argue for it in political circles. He also thought it would probably be kind of impractical for an army to invade using the tunnel.
Sure. Although when did that ever stop Churchill? But like, it is very funny to me how much of like Leave and Brexit stuff invokes Churchill when he was a huge believer in European federalism. You should check out, incidentally, the brief proposition before France collapsed in the early part of World War II for an Anglo-French union, just to start a country. And just be one thing, and it like was genuinely taken seriously by some people in like positions of power.
Oh yeah, we do a reverse Battle of Hastings.
Yeah,
and we're friends now, and we're holding hands, and we're friends now.
That's right.
Everybody got a buddy to partner against the oncoming fascist onslaught. Okay.
Oops, we did our own fascism.
Oh,
shit. So now, by the 1950s, this idea that they would use the tunnel to invade was well and truly put to bed because people realized, we have airplanes now, right? Yeah, so that the security concerns were almost irrelevant. In 1964, the English and the French agreed to build the damn tunnel, right?
Oh, I'm sure it was done promptly.
Well, by 1975, the studies were completed, the plans were drawn up, the tunnel boring machines were put in place and ready to roll. And the Labor government canceled their end of the project, like right before they were going to start digging. At a huge expense because they thought it was too expensive. The country was not in great financial shape, and some bullshit about the European Economic Community. Right?
Labour Council. This would have been what, fucking Callaghan as Prime Minister? Just some peak decision-making years for the Labour Party.
Yeah, no. The French got really mad about it.
Well, that was the benefit of doing it, I suppose.
I guess so, yeah.
We wasted your time.
Just blow.
Wait, why did I do a French accent when that was supposed to be an English guy?
Don't worry about that.
What if an English guy was French?
He's the English ambassador to France, and he's trying to speak French, so that's why he sounds like that.
That was
that's
actually
my story.
that was William the Conqueror.
Yeah, an English guy who was French.
Yes. So, all right, but then the government changes over, right? To Margaret Thatcher, right? Boo. Thatcher came to power in 79. The Channel Tunnel seemed like a dead idea, but Thatcher had other ideas. She thought it'd be a good idea we have some privately financed road crossing of some kind. Very specific about it being a road or motorway crossing. Didn't want any of these socialist trains, right?
What? I never knew this. Fuck.
So
the
way this deal was supposed to work was Francois Mitterrand's government would pay for their half of the crossing, and Thatcher was going to get private financing for the English half, right?
Yeah, of course. Because the government can't do stuff. That's, why we elected Thatcher, is not to do stuff.
So there were 3 wildly impractical motorway schemes proposed by a series of private investors, right? A couple of which, like 3 general sort of schemes, right? So, some of them were like huge suspension bridges, like 22-mile.
This is sounding familiar.
There was an idea for a bridge tunnel making use of islands and spiral tunnels.
Sounding familiar.
Yeah.
Still with horses somehow.
And at least one, which is not on this image, which is the only one I could find, was just a massive single bore motorway tunnel in order to sort of get around ventilation requirements, which would still require massive amounts of ventilation, right? And then there was another company, the Channel Tunnel Group, which just submitted the plans from the 1975 rail tunnel.
Change it up a bit so nobody notices.
Yeah, just change some of the numbers around. Yeah.
I like the look of, like, I'm looking at the thing on the right here. The 2 of the bridge proposals, the construction time is listed as a hyphen.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Euroroute just because it looks like a little water slide.
Yeah, you just wee.
The Norwegians have built a couple tunnels like that. They're with their sort of just absurd tunneling schemes they have all over the country now.
Oh, those people are nuts. Yeah, no, Norwegians love a bizarro world tunnel.
Yes.
And I say this as somebody who's taken the Bay Bridge.
Well, this is the thing.
A couple times, but disappearing into the horizon and just being like, oh, I'm going to die now here outside Norfolk, Virginia. What a way to go.
Well, it makes for some very good Euro Truck Simulator DLC, and that's all there is to it. That's the driving consideration.
I would not want to do Euro Truck Simulator on the whatever water slide of death down here.
It's just a casual 23-mile tunnel under half a mile deep fjord. We build like 3 of these a week.
Don't even really need it. Just doing it. Just
doing it. Did. We're trying to figure out what to do with all these extra petrodollars. So Thatcher and Mitterrand looked over these plans, right? And Mitterrand had no particular preference, and Thatcher was like, let's go with that road tunnel. That's a good idea, right? So then they had some engineers look over it. I'm not entirely certain of what the story was here, and they realized, this is a wildly infeasible and unsafe idea, right?
Okay.
So someone eventually managed to coach Thatcher down from the road tunnel. Right?
Those have been a fly on that wall.
They convinced her to go with the rail tunnel, but they were going to call the trains shuttles instead of trains, right? And the private consortium that was going to build the tunnel would have to start work on a road tunnel by 1990, or they would lose the exclusive right to build the road tunnel. which I'm sure was an attractive investment that everyone wanted to build, right? So, all right. At this point, Eurotunnel gets the contract. They start building the Channel Tunnel. It's built to this 3-tunnel design, right? Because you had the pilot tunnel that later became the service tunnel, right? They dug this thing underneath the channel first to figure out what the geological conditions were, right? Because they couldn't do too much geotechnical engineering from the surface. This was one of the ways to be sure that the tunnel was feasible, right?
Mm. Mm-hmm. And Thatcher finally got her road tunnel in that you can drive 2 little golf carts down it.
You can technically drive a golf cart, yes.
That sounds fun. I want to do that.
Some people have biked through it as well.
Ooh. That sounds a hell of a lot more fun to me than like swimming the channel, which people do.
I think about half of biking through that would be fun.
Yes. The other half.
And then you just get off of the island in the center.
Pray for death.
Yeah. So the pilot tunnel was finished October 30th, 1990. The actual rail tunnels were finished in June of 1994, right? So you have these very large diameter rail tunnels, right? Larger than they need to be. And that's because of something of Le Shuttle, which we'll get to the design of in a bit. So the service tunnel becomes sort of an evacuation space. You have these cross galleries every 1,250 feet, I believe. And then above that, you have these linking galleries up here. And this is, what's the word for it? Crap, I forget the word for it. It's the rameau de pistonnement, apparently.
The piston rameau. I don't know.
The idea in a big tunnel, in a rail tunnel, you have something called the piston effect, right? Which is that the train travels along the tunnel and it pushes the air forward in front of it, right? That's why there's a whole bunch of wind when you go into the subway or something like that, because the train's just pushing the air through the tunnel. And the idea here is to reduce air resistance in the tunnel. You would have these crossover galleries, which would vent the piston air into the other tunnel, right?
Yes.
And then there were also 2 large crossover galleries in the middle of the tunnel, so trains could switch tracks if you had to take part of one tunnel out of service, right? And it was dug in this sort of undulating profile to stay within this layer of chalk marl, right, underneath the channel, because it was the most stable rock layer they could find, right?
Go on.
All right. So, in 1994, they put this in service. They get some special trains to run in it, right? Number one,
what is special about these trains?
You'll see in a second.
Please tell me they ran a steam train through this fucking thing.
We told you we could do it. You get to the end and people are just like dying. They're just asphyxiating. It's like, hey, you want to ride coach? You take your chances in coach. Up here, you have at least a 30% chance of survival when you make it to the end.
The steam train makes it, but you got to spend 10 weeks waiting for the tunnel to vent.
When I was researching this, I saw a picture of a steam train in one of the Channel Tunnel portals.
What?
And I have no idea what the reason for that was.
It's just a prank, bro.
It must have been a publicity shot or something. I do not believe they would have. I don't think you could get that whole thing through the Channel Tunnel. Maybe if you got one of those big Southern Pacific cab forward locomotives, you'd have a shot. But
oh, that'd be cool as hell.
But so the trains that go through this tunnel, this is all built to European loading gauge as opposed to British loading gauge, which is smaller. So you got conventional freight trains today; those are operated by DB Schenker.
Yep. Schenker. Deutsche Bahn. The Germans just bought everything.
Oh, so at the end they won anyway.
Yeah, that's right. They really did use it to invade, sort of.
Yeah, but they bought it from EWS, which was a division of Wisconsin Central.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus. The
Those-
Anglo-American special.
Yeah, same
The
color
special
scheme.
relationship.
Also-
No.
One small detail here. If you look immediately to the left of the DB Schenker logo, you can kind of see 3 tiny but like increasing in size like circles on the locomotive.
Yes.
All of those classes, I think they're like a class 92.
Class 92, yeah.
Yeah, all of them have that. And in some of them, they're actually metal. They're like hubcaps bolted onto the side. But those were because of the Channel Tunnel. They're like in dedication to the fact that they're meant to like haul freight through it.
Oh, nice.
Personally, I think it looks ugly as hell, but like...
It does, but that's okay.
Hey, it's an electric locomotive. What are you going to do? So, the Class 92 is designed for conventional freight trains through the Channel Tunnel. Then there was something called the Eurotunnel Class 9. That's this guy and this guy, right? And what this is an extremely souped up version of a small narrow gauge locomotive that runs in New Zealand.
What the fuck?
I know, right? It is a strange wheel arrangement. It is a bow, right? So there's 3 sets of 4-wheel trucks. The middle one has some lateral play in it.
So this is just a project car that they turned into a train, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
And so it operates 2 shuttle services from Folkestone to Calais, right? One is the car shuttle. And the car shuttle, it's a car shuttle. It's also a bus shuttle. It's also a motorhome shuttle. And it uses some of the largest railroad cars in the world. You notice how this is comically large compared to the locomotive. So, in addition to that, it also runs the heavy goods vehicle shuttle. That's this guy over here, right?
Another fun bit of Euro Truck Simulator DLC.
Calling a truck a heavy goods vehicle instead of a semi, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or a tractor trailer, or an 18-wheeler, or other things that adults call them.
It's an HGV, and we're gonna keep doing the like cab over engine design too. Just absolutely no aerodynamics, brick, just pushing all the air out of the way. And we're just gonna keep doing that.
Yes.
Into it.
So the HGV shuttle, right? This is how the vast majority of freight crosses the channel in the Channel Tunnel. The HGV shuttle, basically, you drive your truck onto the train, you get out of the truck, then you go into the club car here. It's also called an amenities car, but I heard it was also called the club car, which I like better. And then the train pulls all the trucks through the tunnel, comes out the other end, and then you get in your truck and you drive away.
Yeah, it's very elegant, apart from the whole massive lorry park at each end.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those terminals look ugly. Definitely not a great piece of railway architecture.
Should have put like some fucking Romanesque shit around them, maybe.
Big, giant train shed.
Yeah.
So I think something like 13 million tons of cargo goes through the tunnel on the HGV shuttles, compared to 1.5 million on actual freight trains.
Do we know how much that compares to ferries?
I have no idea. And then the other service, of course, is the Eurostar, right?
Yes, the good one.
Yeah, exactly.
Big fan.
You can go from London to Paris, or London to Amsterdam, or London to some other destinations.
Brussels.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, you can just get these like Euro tickets and I guess change in Paris and go pretty much anywhere from there. But Eurostar rocks. And I fucking, once COVID is over, I want to go to Paris.
I always wanted to take Eurostar. Then there were two non-starters, which were canceled because almost immediately after the Channel Tunnel was finished, British Rail was privatized.
No.
One of them was the Night Star. This is supposed to be like a conventional locomotive hauled night train that would go from London to various destinations in Europe. right?
Yeah.
All of those
You could have
cars-
just taken a whole ass night train from London and woken up in, I don't know, fucking Bratislava or some shit. And this is what they took from us.
That's
I'm so
disorienting.
Yeah, but your loss was Canada's gain.
mad.
Because now all those cars run on Via Rail.
Well,
on
thank
the
God
ocean.
Via Rail definitely has reliable and speedy service.
Oh, yeah. I definitely want to take a 22-hour train from Montreal to Halifax.
Oh my God.
Actually, I kind of do want to do that.
Yeah, no, we both want to do that, but
and the other thing they canceled was something called Eurostar Regional, right? Where they had special shorter Eurostar trains. And the idea was once you got to London, it wouldn't end there. It would then continue north to like Manchester and Birmingham and Glasgow and Edinburgh and shit like that, right?
The Northern Powerhouse before the name. And like,
Yeah.
it's funny because Eurostar like still had to share British track, which means that like when I was a kid and I commuted, I got the train into school from Shortland Station to West Dulwich, and that shared track with the Eurostar. So you'd just be waiting for your nice slow networker commuter, and then all of a sudden this thing would come past and just like knock everybody off of the platform. It was great.
Go, whoosh, 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 whoosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always fun. And they got as far as building the depot in Manchester for the Eurostar regional trains, slap a big Eurostar logo on the side and say, Manchester, home of Eurostar. Never got used.
It's really sad because like Eurostar, to me, genuinely, like me telling that story is not for nothing. Like it's always been kind of like, you know how when you're a kid, you like might look at planes going overhead and be like, huh, I wish I was on that. That was like Eurostar for me. I was like, yeah, I could just fucking be in Paris right now instead of this bullshit.
I also thought that the original Eurostars very good looking trains.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think GNER wound up using a lot of those special train sets because they, for whatever reason, they didn't really use them in Channel Tunnel service. It was just like, okay, well, we're going to run them on the East Coast Main Line now because that's the fast one. So, and possibly soon there'll be other high-speed train services in the Channel Tunnel. I know a few years ago they ran a test Deutsche Bahn ICE 3 train to I guess it would have been St. Pancras International. So supposedly they're going to try and start selling off slots to other operators, but who knows?
That'd be nice. Just be able to go to where does an ICE go? Like fucking Frankfurt or something.
Frankfurt, Berlin, Berlin, Warsaw, Moscow. Not quite Moscow, actually.
God,
St.
give me my
Petersburg,
Europe-wide.
Stalingrad.
Give me my Europe-wide. Give me my Europe-wide fast train network that I can just take, please.
Please give us any high-speed service in the United States outside
the
Northeast
that's
corridor.
true.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Maybe I want to go to Cincinnati. You don't know.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Cincinnati, the Warsaw of North America.
Yeah. When the Pittsburghers invade Cincinnati.
Yeah. Waiting for it.
When Pennsylvania finally annexes Ohio.
No thanks. Y'all can keep it.
We know they don't want to be Ohio anymore.
Would you like to be Pennsylvania? Too bad. You are now Pennsylvania.
Yes. So anyway, all right, because this is a very, very long tunnel, there are many safety features in the tunnel, right? Because tunnel fires are very dangerous.
Shakespeare Cliff.
Shakespeare Cliff. It's right
Shakespeare
where
Cliff.
It's a big cliff right near the tunnel portal.
Oh, I thought this was right. This is just going to be some poetic death.
This was not like a name for it. Yeah,
it's named after Shakespeare.
Oh,
yeah, we call this method the Shakespeare Cliff.
Yeah,
who's Shakespeare?
He's the guy. He wrote Pirates of Penzance, I think.
Oh,
yeah. Allegedly, it might have been the Earl of Oxford who wrote the Pirates of Penzance.
Thank you.
Yes. So
thank you for indulging me with that awful joke. Appreciate you.
I think he may have also done Lord of the Rings.
Nah, dude, that was Hemingway, idiot.
Oh shit! Right? Yeah, I was getting them confused. I
rookie mistake.
Yeah. So, tunnel fires are very dangerous, as we've talked about in previous episode. You got high heat, you got confined spaces that leads to higher heat, which leads to more fire, which leads to more heat. So on and so forth.
A lot of dead goats. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Confined spaces mean gases from pyrolysis build up and flashover is really easy. So it's a good idea to not have fire in a tunnel, which is why car tunnels are a stupid idea, because people crash into each other in cars.
Not an Elon Musk universe, dude.
No. Plus the fucking Swiss, French, Germans, Italians are all going to keep tunneling under the Alps to fucking get more car routes through them. So that's going to be fun,
baby.
Yeah, I think there's a new big base tunnel opening like next year, right?
Oh, wow. I think you're right.
The base tunnels are all rail tunnels, though.
Huh. Well, there's definitely a road one that's coming.
Positive, yeah. Could be wrong.
Tell me in the comments if I'm right.
Don't put cars in tunnels. Don't do it. It's a bad idea.
You'll make Roz mad.
Yes, exactly. And Elon Musk's main innovation is that now computers will be crashing the cars instead of humans. It'll be like Burnout.
Great game, though.
It'd be like a Burnout tool-assisted speed run.
I was wrong. It is a railway tunnel. Although the Swiss are once again voting on adding a second Gotthard road link.
Oh my God.
Hell yeah.
Fucking morons. Well, I'm sure when they'll work it out in the town square and also deny women the right to vote.
That's right.
So anyway, fire threats can additionally be mitigated through ventilation in areas for people in the tunnel to evacuate, right? Ideally, you evacuate out of the tunnel. But because the Channel Tunnel is very long and it's underwater, you can't evacuate outside of the tunnel, right?
You can. Just put a submarine airlock in there.
I get out my diamond pickaxe and start going. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyone in the tunnel is basically stuck in the tunnel. So that's why they have the service tunnel, right? And the crossover and the service galleries here. So, there's a passage into the service tunnel every 1,250 feet. The service tunnel through high-powered ventilation is kept at slight overpressure, so smoke can't get in, right? There were some safety precautions for trains in the tunnel, right? So at first, all trains required 2 locomotives, both of which are supposed to be able to haul the train out of the tunnel on its own if one locomotive fails, right? Trains are supposed to be able to separate in the middle if one end became compromised so the other end could get itself out of the tunnel, right? Trains had to be of a certain length to ensure that at least 2 crossover passages were accessible to passengers. One of the reasons why the Eurostars were such long trains. They also installed extremely large ventilation plants at each end of the tunnel for the purpose of blowing smoke out of the tunnel and away from passengers if a mid-tunnel evacuation had to take place, right? But the major strategy for dealing with a fire in the tunnel was something called the drive-out strategy, right?
Oh, come on.
Is that as cool as it sounds?
If
Probably
the train
not. It never fucking is.
If the train caught fire in the tunnel, what you were supposed to do was drive out of the tunnel.
It is as cool as it sounds.
So it's the SR-71. Yeah, it's the SR-71's missile evasion protocol. Fly faster.
Yeah.
Just floor it.
And just floor it. Just floor it. And
don't worry about who you hit or who you kill. You are getting out of there.
When you get out of the tunnel, the train would be redirected into an emergency firefighting siting where firefighters would be waiting to fight the fire, right?
Oh, that's so tight.
And
like a plane, you get it out of the air, I guess, and then you have the fire and rescue right there. It's cool.
Well, I mean, that's better than the other option, which is trying to fight the fire in the air and like doing several low passes off of the runway while the fire trucks shoot foam at you.
No, you get one of those big, whatever, foam bombers they use for wildfires in California.
Just put it over the other plane. Yeah.
Yes. You've heard of in-flight refueling. Now get ready for in-flight firefighting.
In-flight refueling, but the probe just fucking sends in firefighting foam.
Hoses you down, yeah.
So, as a last resort, the other procedure was if you had to come to a stop in the tunnel, what you would do is uncouple the cars that were on fire and then drive out.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
So some of these procedures have been changed because now high-speed trains are electric multiple units, right? But some of the procedures were also changed due to incidents.
Incidents.
Incidents. Today we're going to discuss.
You're going to say a date, aren't you?
We're going to discuss one such incident, which was on 18th of November, 1996.
Okay.
All right.
A date in which I assume nothing bad happened, right? Tell me nothing bad happened.
Well, no one died. So
hey, that's refreshing.
Yeah, there goes
we
the
can get our
suspense.
jokes off.
That's not the only thing I'm getting off.
So train
it's coming to this.
Yes, exactly. It's to fight the fires, Alice. Don't you know the canon at all?
At 9:42 p.m., train 7539, an HGV heavy goods vehicle shuttle, left the Calais terminal en route to Folkestone, and after a 32-second stop at a signal, proceeded into the tunnel, right? Because they run these trains at really high frequencies. It's something like, I think, 4 kilometers between trains, so maybe 3.5 minutes.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like subway style frequencies through this tunnel because, they run so many shuttles. As the train passed by, 2 security guards noticed that one of the trucks on the train was on fire.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well noticed.
Yeah. That's usually not a good thing.
It's like, is it supposed to do that?
No.
No.
No, this is Sandy.
Yeah, so they stopped to light a cigarette and then they notify the terminal
Called
control
somebody
center.
a pussy. Yeah.
Yeah, took a 45-minute union break.
So at 9:49 p.m., as the train's heading into the tunnel, the fire detection equipment inside the tunnel detected a fire, as it's supposed to, on board the train.
Oh, and
But
relief it
because
works.
these were smoke detectors and not fire detectors, which I understand is a separate piece of equipment they had, these were something Eurotunnel staff called unconfirmed alarms, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So rail control was not immediately notified, right?
Oh, boy.
That there was that this train may be on fire, right? At this point, the train's 2.5 kilometers into the tunnel. It's gaining speed, right? Now, this is interesting because I haven't been able to figure out the precise hierarchy of command here because there's a rail control center and then there's a tunnel control center. And then apparently there's a separate fire control center. And I can't figure out how these centers
Somebody
interact.
just loves having a command center, and that's fine. I respect that. We should have a command center.
It's a good idea, yeah. Should be manned by 3 people who are similar to us, but who aren't us.
Anytime they notice that we're getting a bit the cop tweets should have been stopped in their tracks by someone like me who was in the command center that governs what I do.
It's just that scene from SpongeBob. What's his name? What's his
name?
name?
Oh my God, we threw out his name. So the control center, which had gotten word from the security guards, notified the train driver that your train may be on fire. And simultaneously, the train itself, which had some fire detection equipment on it, also notified the driver that it might be on fire, right?
Hey, so I'm not sure. Just an alarm goes off, and it's like, are you in the right headspace to receive information that could possibly hurt you?
Almost never, but lay it on me anyway, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so
It's like, I might be on fire. Just a really like passive aggressive or like a really nervous Trey. It's like, well, I'm not saying I'm on fire, but I
might be a little bit on
Things
fire.
are not looking great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say that.
Situation uncertain. Try again later. All right, so the drive out strategy was initiated. Keep in mind, again, this is a lot of the measurements I got were in metric, so it's 2.5 kilometers into a 50-kilometer tunnel.
Floor
it.
Really floor it, though.
So they tell the driver, all right, we're going to divert you into an emergency siding at Folkestone. We're going to fight the fire there. In the meantime, keep going, right? The train's going 140 kilometers an hour, about 86 miles an hour. It would make it through the tunnel in about 20 minutes, right? And hey, how bad's the fire going to get in 20 minutes?
Oh, we'll find out, I'm going to guess.
Just comes out of the other end of that tunnel like Ghost Rider.
All right. So 9:52, rail control receives word that the train was actually on fire, not maybe on fire. And they dispatch a single locomotive with the driver to tail the burning train to ascertain conditions.
Oh,
yeah, we're going to need you to do something extremely cool.
Yeah. And they go full.
You guys know that movie Unstoppable, right? Guess when your afternoon's going to be.
No, it has not come out yet.
We gave you a chase car. That's so fucking cool.
So, all right. 9:53 p.m. Okay. So, in America, trains have something called a conductor, right? In England, they call that same position the train's guard, right?
Mm-hmm.
The French call it something else.
Chef de train.
The chef de train.
What a fun language.
Yes.
Mwah.
Yes. Oh, oui. So, the chef de train was at his little desk in the club car, I guess his kitchen, and an alarm went off, right? Because the souffle was done. No, the alarm went off, indicating the train was on fire. I guess he burned the souffle. So, the train was now about 10 kilometers into the tunnel, and finally, okay, everyone at this point on the crew knew something was happening, right? One of the control centers, I didn't write down which, ordered all the trains to slow down to 100 kilometers an hour, and they shut all the piston relief ducts. That's the word I was looking for earlier, to prevent the smoke from traveling from one tube to the other tube.
Oh, boy.
But they also decided to let the next car shuttle train in the tunnel behind the on-fire train and the light locomotive.
Why?
You were gonna make those that timetable is sacred, Alex.
Yeah, we're gonna be on time. These apparently they don't have a sufficiently French union culture there.
Yeah, it's just enough the worst aspects of British and French culture.
Yeah, we're not gonna dispatch the trains on time, but we're also not going to do things in a safe fashion either.
That's right.
So around 9:55, the circuit breaker trips in the rear locomotive of the on-fire HGV shuttle. It shuts down. It was about 1 kilometer past the French crossover at this point, right? At the same time, another heavy goods vehicle shuttle was going the opposite direction, also through the French crossover. And the driver reported that he was immediately engulfed in thick smoke, which entered the driver's cab and the club car.
Well, that's not ideal.
Yeah, just reduced visibility to 0, right? And at 9:57, the stop lamp illuminates in the driver's cabin of the train, right? Several lights indicated faults in various mechanical components and safety critical systems. at the chef's little desk, right? And so they have to stop the train, right? So the driver came to a halt at the next emergency crossover he could. And as the train stopped, the piston effect meant all the smoke was sucked forward, right?
Oh boy.
So he
Jesus.
couldn't figure out what emergency passage he had stopped at.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Shouldn't there be a
That's
way
what you want to know in a tunnel.
for them to tell that?
Well, there's a big illuminated sign, as a matter of fact, but
Oh, I don't like that. But
I meant one of the various control centers, right?
oh, should be able to know where they are.
Yeah, in the tunnel.
Yeah, apparently there wasn't.
Oh, cool. Okay.
All right, so at this point, drive out with the whole train, right? Is not practical. So you'd think, okay, I guess we uncouple the club car, which is not on fire, right? And we drive out with that, right? Well,
Mhm.
okay.
as soon as they stopped, 4 seconds later, catenary power went out. So it's the overhead line that powers the train, right? So now they got no power, they can't move.
Get out and push.
Oh God!
Everybody out! Everybody out!
Everybody out.
We told you, coach at your own risk, you dumb assholes.
No, the fire's back there. You got to get out and pull. It's like a bunch of Egyptians pulling a huge slab of stone up the pyramid.
Yeah, but it's all French truck
It's all
drivers.
French truck drivers. Oh no, they just stopped for a cigarette break. Sort of lighted off the massive train fire. All right.
Apparently, this is a thing that you can do on a fireground. Is you can just hold a cigarette up and the ambient heat will light it for you, which is
that's tight.
insanely cool.
Oh, that's cool. So, all right. So the shuttle stopped. The light locomotive has stopped 2 kilometers behind it. The driver of that was like, okay, I got a red signal. I got to stop.
The whole train is a red signal, man.
He noticed. He noticed. There's a lot of smoke starting to show up. He actually evacuated into the service tunnel like almost immediately. Then there was a full up car shuttle 2 kilometers behind that. Right. So drive out strategy was out. Right. And at this point, thick smoke was enveloping the train. Now the driver and the chef both attempted to locate the emergency passages to the service tunnel. Neither of them could see anything, right?
Holy shit.
The driver couldn't even get out of his cab because of the really thick smoke, even when he used the respirator that was provided, right? Now to get
that's nightmarish.
to get a better view of the tunnel, the chef opened one of the doors to the club car.
No. Why?
Don't do that.
He did it because he wanted to get a better view of where to evacuate to. And what instead happened is all the smoke that was outside went inside the club car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Received a worse view.
It will do that.
So then at 10:02, the telephone line between the UK and French control centers failed.
Mm-hmm.
And the radios were completely overloaded with chatter, right?
Because just a French guy sitting on a bed, like dangling his legs in the air, like, so what you doing?
Dying. What are you doing?
So if you sort of look at these diagrams here, you can see positions of trains at different points in time, right? So our train in question is 7539, right? See, this is the heavy goods shuttle that passed earlier. See, this is another train that's going to pass through the crossover. Also go through a huge cloud of smoke. This 4899 here is the light locomotive. Behind that is the car shuttle, right? And then there's a couple trains up here which are hightailing it out of there. And then there's 6518 up here, which will become relevant in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
So Again, the radios are overloaded with chatter. Through the crosstalk, they manage to get the car shuttle to reverse out of the tunnel, or tell the driver to reverse out of the tunnel, go to the rear locomotive and get out of there, right? And they told, and the driver of 7539 here told French Control that they were stopped somewhere. They couldn't figure out where.
A word.
And they couldn't move.
Jesus.
So at this point, the control center finally starts working under the assumption that, okay, we're actually going to have to fight this fire underground. Shit. Fuck. Shit.
This is exactly what we didn't want to happen.
Yes. So the first thing they do is they try and close the doors on the crossovers to prevent smoke from getting into the other tunnel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is the doors don't move.
Oops.
Yeah. They just don't work.
Okay.
So
personally, I would ensure that they worked, but I'm different.
I would think they would. I don't understand why they have them open to begin with.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I guess so. So a couple more trains scream through the giant thick cloud of black smoke. They find out from the driver of the car shuttle back here, 6352. They find out he's walked to the back of his train. He turned on that locomotive. He put the pantograph up. Oh, guess what? No power.
Oh, no.
Oops.
So he's also stuck, right? And the driver of 4899, the light locomotive, he's evacuated the service tunnel, and the other train's still on fire. So at this point, French Control is basically frantically pulling levers to figure out what works and what doesn't.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's exactly the state that you want a control center, a command center to be in, right?
Yes.
The centre de panique. Hein?
The panique. I'm overwhelmed by the ennui.
Yeah, I have to stop fighting the fire because I have to go and take a nap. But
what is the point?
Nothing matters.
Is the fire, ma chérie, is merely a metaphor for ourselves.
I like that little at the end.
You can see what I'm doing with my shoulders when I say it too.
All right, so at 10:13, they put on what's called the supplementary ventilation system, right?
Backup vents.
Yes. What they do, there's a big fan on the UK side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they turn it on, and that creates just massive wind through the tunnel all the way to the French side. So they turn on this massive fan, this gigantic fucking fan, and they forget to pitch the blades.
Oh no.
So it didn't do anything. It just spun around really fast.
Looks cool as hell.
Yeah.
Not doing anything. But.
They also tell train 6518 back here, that's another car shuttle, to stop adjacent to the location of 7539, which to my knowledge, they don't know where it is. I didn't quite understand this part of the report. To receive the evacuated passengers, although those passengers hadn't evacuated yet because the smoke was too thick to see through.
Jesus Christ.
Right. So 7 minutes later, the controllers realized they forgot to pitch the fan blades. So,
hey, Gary, you pitched the fan. Oh shit! I figure if I'm doing the French like this, I have to do the English as badly. So
you do.
Gary, it's on fire. So, all right, they pitched the fan blades, and the air starts flowing down the tunnel towards the train, right? And this creates a temporary bubble at the front of the train where there's no smoke. So the chef has managed to spot the arrow pointing towards the door to the service tunnel, and he's able to bring the passengers to safety. Although at this point, several of them are suffering from nasty smoke inhalation, right?
It sounds like it happened with seconds to spare, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, this supplementary ventilation system has two effects. The first is that it cleared the smoke. The second is that it supplied the fire with a whole lot more oxygen.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Yeah, so the fire got much bigger very quickly.
this
That's
is
good.
fine.
That's good, right? That's what we want.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, 10:28, the emergency responders arrive in the service tunnel, right? They
In their little
essentially
golf carts.
Yeah,
Hey,
they
we're
essentially
here. Shut up.
Please tell me there is a firefighting golf cart with like a blue light on it and like it's painted red. Like it's got an American flag on there.
Yeah,
It's
but
got
you
the
have to
air horn.
shout out,
Gotta
wee
be.
woo, wee woo, wee woo, in the tunnel. You have to do that.
Doing that for 11 miles.
Yeah, the top speed is 11 miles an hour. So the emergency responders show up in the service tunnel. They figure out where the train is because that's where there's a bunch of people milling around in the tunnel.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah. So what they do is they go back in the tunnel. They get the driver out of the cab who so far hadn't been able to evacuate. I'm not exactly sure why, but he was the only one who had to be like rescued.
Just didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
I am not getting paid to evacuate. They will have to send someone in after me.
So they treat some of the passengers who got the worst smoke inhalation with supplemental oxygen, and then they go back in the tunnel, try to ascertain the condition of the train, right? I think at this point they managed to figure out where to stop 6518. So that train pulls alongside on the other tunnel. They evacuate into that train, right? And then they wait 10 minutes, and then they close the doors, and then they wait 10 more minutes, and the French control center says, yeah, you can go. You can go now.
God damn French.
What happened to all of the haste that was happening earlier? Now it's just like, I pour myself
The
a small
French
glass of
got
pasty.
there.
I pour myself a small glass of pasty and I drink the pasty, and then I will approach the train to go, but not before.
So
Literally, that actually is basically what happened.
this train goes through the thickest smoke at the crossover, right? And this was so thick, it got in the driver's cabin. Visibility was 0. There was supposed to be, or there was, a button the driver was supposed to hit, which would close all the vents on the train to prevent smoke from getting in, right? And he pushed that button, and some of the vents closed.
Yeah.
Oh.
Partial success.
Partial success, yes. The first 2 cars on the train, they did not close. So a shitload of smoke just went in the first 2 cars of the train, where there's like, I don't know, a bunch of families in minivans, right? And then they have to evacuate the first 2 cars of the train. I think they evacuated the first 3 cars of the train, shove everyone further back so we don't get more smoke inhalation from this stupid fire.
Fine. This is fine.
Literally, this is fine meme. Yes.
Yeah.
He's not on fire. He's just smoke. He's like a cigarette.
What are you, a pussy?
So, anyway, the train arrived safely in Calais at 11:23, right? So here's just an idea of these giant crossover doors, right? Look how fucking big that is.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, except when they don't work.
Except when they don't work.
Yes.
Just send a guy in there to like push it. You know,
Yeah.
I could do that probably.
They
I could
sent
pull
in,
that door closed.
They sent in, what's a French name? Like fucking, they sent
Gaston.
Hugo.
Yeah.
Hey,
Here you
Hugo,
go. You have
close.
to go in and you have to close the doors. Ferme les portes.
One more. Your name is Hugo. You go.
I make the pun bilingual because I speak English very well to get this job. I never used to want to be in the railway, you know. I went to the Sorbonne, but our desires in life, Hugo, they are so ephemeral.
Spend your life doing existential poetry instead of responding to emergencies.
Yeah. Why did they keep the French control center side supplied with like madeleines that when they ate them caused them to go into a reverie about their past youth?
Why do they have so many canvases and oil paints?
I dreamed of being an artist. Alas.
All right, so one of them is like doing mime in the corner. All right, so the passengers were out of the tunnel. This left the relatively trivial problem of extinguishing a gigantic flame in a 11 miles into a tunnel, right? 15 miles into a tunnel, excuse me.
Oh, it says I do love right there.
Yeah, I love the bilingual signage of just being like "ne open pas" in it.
So there were French
screaming simple as a towering inferno as you're simply engulfed by flame.
So don't like it. Here's a crossover door.
So French and English firefighters were on the scene by 10 o'clock, but there was some confusion initially as to the actual location of the train. The French found them first.
Of course it did.
But the
French firefighters rule. They took time off from fist fighting the cops to go do this.
We're here. Why are you crying?
One of them just has a gendarme in a headlock that he's just bringing with him.
Come on, Michel. We will not be late.
So the British first response team performed reconnaissance to determine the extent of the fire. They went through one of these these are the big service tunnel doors, right? And they managed to, through the heavy smoke, determine at least 5 of these heavy goods vehicle cars was on fire, right? Completely enveloped in flame. They later determined that the source of this fire, or the main fuel of it, was 2 heavy goods vehicles carrying clothing and frozen fat, respectively.
Excuse me?
You heard a man.
But yeah, Britain, we need a fat, need a fat, simple as.
Yeah, it's a shipment of high quality French lard.
Stupid English, they will buy even the fat off of our cows.
No, it's off of a pig.
Off of our pigs.
Yes. Look, lard
Michel, perhaps it is they who are the pigs, huh?
Gendarmes is like, please just let me go. I don't wish to talk about this with you anymore.
Lard
You're bumming me out, man.
Lard is good. It's a good cooking fat. It's no less healthy than any other cooking fat or oil, right? I am against this lardophobia, which has
oinkophobia.
That is oinkophobia right there. This oinkophobia that pervades cooking right now. Lard is a great.
If I don't eat lard because it's haram, is that oinkophobia?
No, that's you're doing it for religious reasons.
No, I get an exemption.
And queue up space shuttle tweet and ISS tweet.
So now, in a theme which is continuous from our previous episode, firefighters hooked up their hoses to the tunnel standpipe and got just a trickle of water. Right?
Oh, this never happens.
I'm just nervous.
So a water main had burst from the heat farther down the tunnel. That's just fucking great, right? So over the course of the evening, additional firefighters arrived. A whole bunch from the Kent Fire Brigade.
What did you just call me?
Kent.
Thank you.
They were very seriously delayed because they were sitting there at the end of the tunnel waiting for the train on fire to come out, and then the train didn't come out on fire, and then eventually they had to go drive down the tunnel 11 miles to get to where the fire was. I think there were a bunch of dispatching problems right then because, again, communication is completely fucked, right?
Mm.
They arrived at something like, I think, 10:50. So this fire is just growing with just like a trickle of water being sprayed on it, right?
Just putting a watering can on it.
Yeah.
On this truck of burning lard.
Yes. Eventually, an engineer from Eurotunnel arrived to reconfigure the valves upstream of the leak, and water pressure was restored, right? At this point,
they had to do one of those little BioShock hacking puzzles with the water pipes.
They installed
System Shock 2.
They have about 8 lines running off of this main to fight the fire, right? And because of the intense heat in the tunnel, they have to work in shifts, right? You have to go out for a little bit, come back in to the service tunnel where it's cooler, right? Which, thank God, is positive pressure. The heat would be going in there. And they start having to deal with debris falling from the ceiling of the tunnel, right? Sort of limits their working area, which is already pretty limited because all they have is this 3-foot wide side passageway, right? And they heard a bunch of explosions while they were working. They're not sure if that was from concrete spalls or from heavy goods vehicles, like their fuel tanks going up or something. And it was not until 5 a.m. in the morning when they put the middle of the fire out. And they were working throughout the next day until 3 a.m. the next morning to put the entire fire out.
A 2-day fire.
It's a 2-day fire, yeah.
They're not worried that the tunnel's going to collapse at this point? Like,
at some
from
point,
the fire damage?
At some point, they brought a civil engineer in to take a look, and he was like, that doesn't look good. I don't think it's going to collapse, though. So
it's like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. So I mean, the stability of the chalk marl was probably not going to be easily compromised by the fire. I mean, the worst you could have is probably a localized cave-in. Even that seems unlikely to me. Or either that or the whole channel pours in the tunnel. In which case, well, you're going to put the fire out.
Yeah. So good news.
Good news.
We don't have that one problem anymore. But
all right. So aftermath of this, right? The tunnel was in shambles by the end of it, right? The 40-centimeter concrete lining spalled to a depth of between 35 and 20 centimeters, including some areas with only 17 centimeters of lining remaining over a distance of 480 meters, right?
What's spalling? Obviously, I know what spalling is, but just in case the audience don't know what spalling is, unlike me, who knows what spalling is?
Spalling is when the concrete kind of expands and then falls off, right? So it cracks and it falls off the rest of the concrete, right? And this can happen for a variety of reasons. From fire to just age to incorrectly applied pressure, so on and so forth, right? You can see sort of here are the concrete panels on the tunnel, right? And you can see the middle has spalled off, exposing the reinforcing bar behind, which is generally not a good thing.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was saying, I did know.
We know why things are bad.
So pretty much all the mechanical and electrical systems within the tunnel were destroyed in the area of the fire. Temperatures up to 1,300 degrees Celsius, started buckling like things like copper pipe. It really screwed stuff up, right? The rear half of the train suffered serious damage, including 10 heavy goods vehicle wagons that were totally written off, right? They just had to scrap them. I don't think they were even able to pull some of them from the tunnel, right?
Wow.
The rear locomotive also had to be scrapped. And yeah, the heavy goods vehicles were basically reduced to ashes. Had to throw those out too.
We found your truck, he says, as he brings you like a garbage bag and a
here's
shovel.
Here you go.
They present your truck to you in an urn.
But the urn itself looks like a truck, so you can think about all the good times you had.
Yeah, I'm ceremonially scattering my truck's ashes.
I spread its ashes at Iowa 80. So, after that, they had to fix the tunnel, right? And that took several months. Service was impacted because they had the single track through the tunnel, right? And, no one was seriously hurt in this incident. There was a hell of a lot of property damage, though.
Yeah, and a lot of close calls.
A lot of close calls, yeah.
Fairly nightmarish situation where you can easily imagine everybody just dying.
Yes. Some safety procedures were reviewed after the incident, right? Including, the sort of practice of considering smoke detectors as unconfirmed fire warnings was dropped, right? They take everything seriously now. They were supposed to equip the heavy goods vehicle wagons with automatic sprinkler systems. I'm not sure if they did that or not. Because I've heard some sources that say they didn't do it, and then others said, oh yeah, they did that, right? But mostly, the inquiry found that Eurotunnel, a private corporation, was, unsurprisingly, horrifically understaffed to handle an emergency.
No.
And their emergency training was inadequate at best,
I
right?
don't believe it.
There were all these serious delays in summoning emergency personnel owing to a complete breakdown of communications and lack of training, right?
So what you're telling me is this is Thatcher's fault.
Yes.
Yeah, called it.
Yeah, Thatcher did it.
It's on her grave.
So, anyway, luckily...
She doesn't have a grave. She was cremated like a truck.
Don't care.
They spread her ashes at Iowa 80.
Yeah. Weird place to do it, but
Cremated like a truck is a sentence that's going to live in my brain now. It's like the Trump thing of like fired like a dog.
Like a dog.
Fired like a dog.
Now, luckily, improvements to safety procedures were implemented. One of the other things they also did was a visual inspection of every heavy goods vehicles trains as it goes into the tunnel, right? And there was never a fire in the tunnel again, except in 2006, 2008, 2012, and 2015.
Oh, that's what, 5 over 20 years? Every 4 years. It's
So far, the big, it has been blank days since our last fire. We're up to 5 years now. 6 years.
That's pretty good.
There's a comma now, baby.
That's not their best record, but, it's pretty good. These fires have all been on heavy goods vehicle shuttles.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Which is why I feel like the conclusion I would come to here is maybe you should just ship the cargo by train.
No, can't do it.
Instead of shoving a truck onto the train.
Listen,
right?
There are no problems involved with doing intermodal, with doing fucking truck shipping across the channel, and that's why Operation Stack is something that has never been activated.
Right. I was going to mention that. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So basically, because we've systematically destroyed so much of our freight rail infrastructure in the southeast of England, this is whether it comes by train or by ferry, it ends up on an HGV in the southeast of England, and there are so many of them that when something breaks down, such as a fire or such as Brexit happens or whatever, these just back up to the point that they clog every single major and minor road in Kent. So yeah, not great.
That's what they had those pictures that airfield, right? They just
They used a former RAF airfield as a parking lot for trucks. And the local Sikh Gurdwaras had to bring food to truckers because they were just there overnight.
Oh my God.
In the middle of winter, right? So Yeah, it's all going tremendously well. It's a hugely resilient part of our national infrastructure, and nothing bad will ever happen again there.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. Go Brexit.
Take back control, baby.
I have to pee. I'll be right back.
God damn it.
Somebody speculated on the comments of the last one that Justin was doing that on purpose.
Yeah, so that we would, so as an intermission, so that we could just interrupt. That basically we're
we get it out of our systems.
Yeah, apparently. Which no, we never do.
No,
interrupting Roz is pretty much my favorite pastime. I do it quite a bit.
It's so satisfying.
It is. It's real fun to do it to him in real life too, because you just watch his cheeks get like redder and redder. You're like, oh, buddy. Aw. Yeah, antagonizing Roz is top 3 ways I spend my time, honestly.
And that's why our podcast is so successful.
Yeah, because of us, because of the unwashed masses, which is just me and Alice complaining at the guy who knows stuff. I do, Roz on road trips is funny because he'll just be like, oh, he'll just like never tell you when he has to pee, and then you'll pass like a rest stop and I'll be like, I have to pee, and you're just like, I'm going to murder you. I'm sorry. This is for the good of the colony.
Merging across 3 lanes of traffic to the last
I just do that
second.
normally, to be fair.
Yeah. Last second to get on the off ramp so I can piss.
I was driving up a highway near Philly the other day in my beautiful GTI, and there was no one on the road, and I was just like, it's just like Newfoundland. And I watched that speedometer climb, and I was like, it's just like Newfoundland. Although I don't have Roz complaining that there's no bathrooms for 300 miles. Ugh. Hey, buddy.
I have returned.
Just talking shit about you.
Oh, I figured.
Lovingly.
Well,
yes, we do. We love you so much. Thanks for making us all this money.
No problem. Anyway, what was I was gonna say something. I forgot what it was.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I remember what it was. We have a section on this podcast called Safety Third.
Safety Third. Wow. Roz, your intro for that was... Damn, I liked that.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, it sounded so dramatic, dude.
So, today's Safety Third came in this very morning.
Came in this afternoon, but who's counting?
It
to
came in,
the Well, There's Your Problem command center.
Yes.
Which is just
at a secure,
we check our inbox, damn it.
undisclosed location.
We check our inbox, damn it. Leave us alone.
somewhere in Nevada near Groom Lake.
Yeah, that's right. Just not just us checking the emails. Not that. No.
It's actually part of the Lockheed Skunk Works. Actually, the Skunk Works are like out in the open. Like you can just drive by on a public highway.
Once. You tried a second time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just get picked off with a Barrett 50 cal. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's right.
So today's Safety Third was the subject line was, I gave tours at the Philly Constitution Center, DC, and New York City.
We were just talking about the Philly Constitution Center. I'm sure this will be delightful.
Mm-hmm. I was a tour guide for a company that ships rich teenagers from Italy to Ramapo College, New Jersey.
Oh.
Why?
Then buses them around the eastern seaboard.
Oh.
Hey, children, you see America, you see how it is terrible.
You go to Mahwah County, New Jersey, Bergen County Volunteer.
Next, we go to Megatronics.
Really diving into the lore here. God damn.
Well, most students were 16 to 18. I was only 19 at the time and was in charge of 30 to 60 high schoolers who barely spoke English, with only the help of a verbally abusive Italian chaperone and
Is there any other kind?
Another American college student. A typical day involves shuffling this mass of people through such calm environments as Times Square, the Philly Constitution Center, downtown Baltimore, and the National Mall in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, no, I make a phone call and I have to have total silence for the next 18 hours. I could not do this job.
Here is a list of disasters that occurred during my 6-week employment. Pick whichever you like. I'm just going to do all of them. Fuck it. Number 1.
Safety first, safety second, safety third, safety fourth.
We were not ever allowed to sleep on the bus. If we fell asleep, chaperones were allowed to photograph us and send the picture to our managers.
Cool.
What the fuck?
Again, some of these trips were 8 to 10 hours, and we were responsible for the safety of 50 some odd kids. The buses were also extremely hot because Italians hate air conditioning. And
Also
the bathrooms were usually broken or clogged.
Hey, I clogged the toilets. Just minute one of an 8-hour trip, and some Italian kid is like, "Yeah, I've done a massive shit, and it's broken the toilet like permanently."
There's no air conditioning.
You're gonna have to pull the entire bathroom and replace it. To be honest,
I fill out the toilet with my ass meatball. After a long bus ride to the Philly Constitution Center, on very little sleep, another tour guide and I were in charge of touring them up that empty field in 100-degree Fahrenheit weather. The other tour guide was exhausted and hadn't been drinking water since the bus bathroom was broken.
Oh boy.
She told me she felt dizzy, so I took the lead on the tour. 20 minutes later, we're passing the ruins of the first White House, and she collapses.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I call a manager who rushes over, revives the tour guide, gives her some water, and 10 minutes later, she's told to just keep giving the tour. We'll break for lunch early. Don't worry.
Cool.
Yeah. Number 2. Chaperones were the company's gateway into schools. Therefore, they were our actual clients, not the students. As such, chaperones could be as horrific and abusive to tour guides as they pleased. This got really bad because Italians are very racist.
Really?
Really?
And most of the tour guides were black.
Oh no.
Oh boy. It's going to go down like a Juventus soccer match, isn't it? Boys, I tell you.
I swear, like every your basic European person is 2/3 as racist as a Klansman.
Yeah.
At least they just have fewer opportunities to express their racism.
Yeah, and like way more uninhibited about it.
Yes.
Is that I've noticed.
Yeah.
Like Americans, you might be very racist, but usually when Americans are very racist, you have some like sense of restraint about when to be very racist. Whereas a European, we'll just drop that shit on you whenever. We are ready to pop off with a slur at literally any time.
Yes. People who romanticize Europe as like a bastion of progressivism have like are like, have you used your eyeballs or your ear holes?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Would you rather have people angry that football man doesn't stand up, or people throwing bananas on the football pitch? You know,
right?
Yep.
So anyway. 2 of the tour guides were dating. One of them was black, and they were on a bus with a particularly horrible chaperone. This bus was heading from Jersey to Philly to Baltimore to D.C. 10 hours of driving and stopping all told. And this chaperone verbally abused that poor man every second of the way.
I would not be responsible for my actions. No jury would convict me.
I was about to say, yeah.
So they would say, oh.
I specifically request an Italian jury so that they like sentence me to a month of house arrest and then let me out on appeal immediately.
Hey, you killed the chaperone, but we understand.
So Yeah, she called him an ugly piece of shit directly, then started saying it to the bus driver, then the students, then to his girlfriend. This guy wasn't some softy, but he was understandably in tears by the end of the day. This same chaperone later requested to not have another black tour guide, and the company obliged, never offering anything to the tour guide she abused for 10 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Worse yet, the students decided to mimic the racist behavior of their chaperones and started yelling racist shit and straight up calling people the N-word loudly.
White Europeans love saying the N-word with a hard R too. Like I have experienced Germans do it, I've seen Italians do it, I've seen Spaniards do it, and like sometimes with malice, sometimes just with the like peculiar European brainworms that you don't ever internalize that you shouldn't say that.
I once see a European woman who is not especially tall bump into a black man in Philly, call him the N-word, and he whipped around so fast, like in one fluid motion, he just laid her out in front of the convention center and then just kept walking.
Nice.
Like nothing after that, nothing before that, just turned around, rocked her jaw so hard I thought she died. Which is pretty fucking tight. And he was just like kept going along.
Bad things happen in Philadelphia.
It's like, oh shit. And like her whatever, like her son is like rushing and like trying to scream at this guy. And I'm like, oh, please rush him. Please rush him. Like, I want to see this man go 2 for 2. Like, please, I'm begging you.
Getting my Warzone kill streaks up, but it's just like racist Europeans.
Pro tip for Europeans: do not say the N-word.
Yeah, for anyone really, but especially Europeans.
You will get your shit rocked.
Apparently, they may not know.
This is Philly. We fight each other for fun.
So they were saying the N-word loudly in the middle of Philly, Baltimore, D.C., and New York.
Oh my God.
We decided to reenact our favorite film, Die Hard 3.
We tour guides were in charge of telling them to stop, while their teachers undermined us at every turn.
Yeah, check this out. Tour Guido. I
wholly expected some kid to say something horrific to the wrong person and get his shit rocked, though that never happened.
That's a shame.
I know. Yeah, it probably should have happened. Sometimes you just got to teach kids some manners.
You remember what I told you about how everyone needs to get punched in the face at least once in their life?
Yes.
Yep.
You can tell someone who never has been.
You absolutely can.
Our management structure, this is number 3, consisted of one guy in charge of our location named Bob and 6 sub-managers beneath him. They all hated us and they all hated each other.
Okay.
We were given a confusing diagram on day 1 concerning which manager to talk about which problem, i.e., you go to one guy to talk about buses, but you go to a different guy to talk about scheduling. Which is
maybe it's just the
genius.
I think buses and scheduling kind of go together, you know.
Maybe it's just the image, but that is like we have organized this like the mob, you know. It's all poorly to bus.
This is the fundamental problem I'm noticing from the beginning of this safety third, is the idea that you're going to see Philadelphia, Baltimore, and DC in one day. Is not wise.
Is ludicrous. Yes. You're just getting off the bus to look at the Liberty Bell and then get back on the bus.
Like American history, any percent speed run.
What are they seeing in Baltimore? Like the Shot Tower?
Fort McHenry.
Oh, okay.
Is this the way they filmed The Wire? Huh?
They could bring them down to the B&O Railroad Museum. They get 35 seconds in there.
Back on the bus.
Back on the bus, yeah. I don't know. You go to which one's Fort McHenry? That's not the one in the harbor, is it?
It's the one that overlooks the harbor.
Oh, okay. I was thinking there's one in the harbor that Robert E. Lee designed. Yeah.
Wait. No, this was before that because this is the War of 1812.
Ah, that makes sense. Yes. Okay. But yeah, okay. They're just bringing these kids around. It's like, hey, look at the landmark. Okay, get back in the bus. You get like probably 10 seconds at everything. I don't know. Like spend some time when you're going to visit a place. Whatever.
Actually, don't spend some time. Don't fucking come here.
Actually, yeah. I mean, if you're gonna come into my country and start throwing around the N-word, maybe you should just leave.
Also, you're welcome for saving your idiot country again.
Yes. So, one Times Square tour, my bus and 3 others arrived at the Hard Rock Cafe.
Cursed.
Which one?
The one at Times Square.
They're all
I was hoping it was
bad.
the one in Philly because that's right where I saw that lady get her shit rocked.
We filed in, sat down, and then I see my manager racing across the dining area towards another manager. They're gathered together and seem panic. One walks over to me and says, "Have you heard from the other tour guide or seen anyone from her bus? How about the other tour guide and his bus?" I hadn't and asked what was going on, and she wouldn't say. She just moved on to someone else.
Oh, hell yeah.
The managers were getting increasingly frazzled, and we realized they just lost track of over 80 Italian kids.
We have a broken arrow situation over. We have Italians loose on the eastern seaboard.
We have a broken baguette situation. What's an Italian bread? Excuse me.
Well, breadstick.
Ciabatta. We had a broken ciabatta.
Broken ciabatta situation. We have
all units.
We have dropped a cappuccino. Repeat, the gelato is on the floor.
A guy just comes in, breathless, holding a printout. It's like this just came in off the wire, and it's like a series of photos of an Italian kid calling a guy the N-word and getting laid out. Fuck! My God.
On the bright side, at least the blood looks like spaghetti in the black and white. Pasta sauce, whatever. Fuck them. Fuck your dumb country.
We were held up for around 2 hours as they called and radioed everyone they could trying to track down these 2 buses. As it turns out, there's a miscommunication between the bus drivers and whoever handled scheduling, and they were all still in New Jersey, taking a completely different tour than the one they were supposed to.
Italians coming to New Jersey.
Like the Zeppelin tour.
Yeah.
Just like,
Italians coming to New Jersey and roaming around. Not a good idea whenever it's happened.
Rather than let them finish that tour, manager Bob didn't want to waste the Hard Rock reservation. So he made these kids come all the way into the city just to eat at this awful fucking restaurant. And made all of us wait there until they arrived. A final note. At the end of the job, the chief operating officer for all of North America visited our branch. 2 other employees and I approached him with our complaints about the workplace, which are far more numerous than I could list here. He, open quotes, listened to us, close quotes, and then said, and these are his exact words, I will never forget this. "I know you're upset, but I want you to know the main office at this company doesn't see it this way. You moved over 1,000 students through here over the course of the season. That's more than any other branch ever. I want you to know that we're proud of all the work that you've done."
You can be proud when I have the 9 mil in your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck you. Pay me.
Yeah. I.e., fuck you, got mine. It was this job that made me a communist.
That's fucking right.
Congratulations to shitty Italian teenagers and their chaperones. Good Lord. I don't know. I highly recommend I don't come to America and start saying the N-word. Just don't do that.
Just don't come to America at all.
Actually, yeah.
Actually,
just
no,
don't
that
come
sounds
to America
very
at all.
anti-immigrant. Come to America all you want. Just don't say the N-word.
Don't say the N-word in America. Don't do it.
Just don't say the N-word in general.
Don't do it in your own country either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just in general, like you probably shouldn't. Also, like, don't be an asshole. This is like, I don't know, relatively basic.
Not for Italians.
Like to like the scales of justice. On the one hand, proud Italian legacy of anti-fascism. On the other hand,
Actual
calling someone
Italians.
the N-word in outside the Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I mean, I could like almost say like, okay, they're dipshit teenagers, but then the chaperones and the teachers are encouraging the behavior. I'm like,
exactly.
When I was a dipshit teenager, I didn't call anybody a racial slur.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of using the N-word personally when I was a teenager.
Just seizing that moral high ground and entrenching on it.
Just
like,
for once.
it
feels good up here.
Yeah. I was a lot of shitty things as a teenager, but I was not one that thought it was okay to like drop slurs.
The other hand, like the idea of seeing an Italian teenager just getting punched across the street for saying the N-word is extremely attractive to me.
That is true.
Yes. So, anyway, next episode is the Tacoma Narrows Bridge disaster.
That's right.
And the next bonus episode is the NFL, and I have got to write the slides for that.
Yes, especially since now you've scheduled when we were going to record.
Yeah, I should probably get on that.
Yes.
When will shirts be international shipping?
I will DM Union Pete right after this.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome. Do you have any commercials before we go?
If you want a Pennsylvania Secret Service card, still DM me, tell me what name, photo, address, and I will print it for you. That's
all
it.
Right.
That's all I got.
Dope. Well,
under 2 hours.
Under 2 hours, yeah, just barely. All right. Well, I guess that's the episode. Yeah. Moral of the story: ship by train. Mm-hmm. Don't say the N-word.
I especially combine those two.
Yeah.
Do not like say the N-word as you're shipping something by train.
Yes. All right.
I have emailed Union Pete.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Now we have a verbal record of it.
Yep.
So people can stop complaining. We are on.
No, they're never going to stop.
On the situation. The situation is being addressed.
From our command center, which is just my house.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, an undisclosed location that's not in North Philly.
Right.
Somewhere else.
South Philly.
Yeah.
I don't go to South Philly.
It's actually in Gloucester County.
Speaking of Italians who love to say the N-word, South Philly.
Oh my God. All right.
And on that note,
yes.
Thank you once again.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. All right. End of slideshow. Click to exit.
And stop recording.